You've used that one before. That's
but
lazy.
I didn't use the last note. It was a bait and switch.
It doesn't count. This is the same argument that Vanilla Ice tried to use against ripping off Queen's fucking song, mate. We added an extra note. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
That's not how it works. Fucking Robert Van Winkle.
Like, what is that? Like, copy your homework, but like make sure it doesn't look like mine or whatever it is. That meme.
Yeah, that's basically the. If memes were a thing, it would have been thrown around so hard when fucking Vanilla Ice was.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah, he was one giant meme. One big old pile of meme. So, it's my intro this week, isn't it?
It is your intro that I wrote for you. Do you want to use the intro I wrote, or do you have your own prepared?
No, I'm gonna trust you. Let's see.
That's
welcome,
a terrible idea.
Welcome to NULLSCORE, where Hamish is away on Epstein's Island. God damn it. So Jim writes his intro for him. My name's Hamish Blake. This is my co-host, Jim. Where's Andy? I need to make some PG-rated comedy. Holy moly. Yeah, I was away in the Gulf all week this week. We're actually recording on a Sunday, which is a little bit unusual. Usually we try to record on a Saturday. I was just fried yesterday, though. I spent a full week doing all the regional court stuff. So, I work up Mount Isa way, and every month the smaller regions up here, like Mornington Island and Doomadgee and Burketown and Normanton, they all have a big full-on court day. So you get in a little plane and you fly around and, you do a day of court in all the regions and make sure everyone's sorted. But it's like lots of traveling and really hot, humid areas and like longer-ish days. So
it's a very elaborate cover story for the fact that you were at Epstein's Island. Like, it's
very
okay,
elaborate.
Man.
Yeah, very. That's it. A big elaborate cover story. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that you were too wiped yesterday, because like every time I have to reschedule, I'm like, fuck, and I just feel like this is it. This is going to be the week where he goes, you know what? I don't have time for this. Maybe we should can the podcast completely. and every time you do, I'm like, all right, well now I don't feel so bad for having to fucking move it or cancel or whatever.
Nah, it's just life gets in the way, dude. That's like, we have full-time jobs. Like this is very much squarely in the hobby category. Look, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I would love for this not to be a hobby, right? I would love for this to be my job. Do the research through the week, get guests, do promo, blah, blah, blah. It's just not possible right now. So right now, this is firmly in the hobby category.
Yeah.
You got to do other stuff first, you know? Mm.
Well, yeah, I mean, this doesn't pay for our rent and, food and things like that. And those are things that I would consider essential. So the job kind of has to take priority over this stuff for those reasons.
At the very least, I need the outlets in my house to record. So, rent's got to be there. Utilities.
You need a place to record the thing.
Yeah. So I was up in the Gulf. I was in Normanton Monday, Mornington Tuesday, Doomadgee Wednesday, Doomadgee Thursday, Burketown Friday, and then yesterday I was kind of just fried. So
what do they like travel? Like, do you fly out there and then you travel around by vehicle, or do they fly you between these places?
So you fly. So the court has a charter plane. So they work with a company called Savannah, I think, and they have an 8-seater plane. So everyone piles in at Mount Isa. So that's where I am. They fly in a court clerk and a magistrate from Townsville, usually. Sometimes they take the Mount Isa magistrate, but because we only have one, we it's kind of this idea that's like we don't have a lot to spare. Like we don't have a magistrate to spare, so we always
can't give you our magistrate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they bring those over. It's usually me, magistrate, court clerk, a legal aid guy, and a person from probation parole, and the pilot, of course. So 6 of us get on at Mount Isa, and then we fly to Normanton. And then when we're at Normanton, we drop the probation guy. He spends the week in Normanton. He ends up driving back to Mount Isa eventually. I think they have like a rotating roster or something like that. And we grab 2 more guys from my company, a CSO and a solicitor. And we also get a bloke from Youth Justice. And then everyone flies up to Burketown, which is a fishing town, like way up. I think it's like a town of 200. And they have,
Jesus.
It's like a 4-street town.
Yeah.
And they have like a pub, a restaurant, a park. They actually have like some interesting stuff because it's like a little hub, like a travel sort of nexus. Like, I don't know.
Do they still have it like a general store, which is like it's the post office, it's the servo?
I think they do. I haven't spent a whole lot of time there, but it's very
that's
much,
how I would explain when people like trying to explain the scale of the place that I grew up to people, and they're like, well, like where are you from then? Like, well, you wouldn't have heard of it. There's no point telling you. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, put it this way. It still had a general store. Do you know what that means? And like, no. It's like, well, it means there's one shop in like the center of town, roughly.
Yeah.
And that's the service station that you get petrol there. That's the post office. It's the video shop. It has groceries. Like it's all the things in one shop because there's nothing else there. That's how fucking small that place is.
Yeah. It's like there's that Hilltop Hood song, 1955. I just got the lyrics up whilst I was thinking about it, and it's what does he say? He says the paint peels because the summers here are so severe, and we're nowhere you would know of. And then later on in the second verse, he says, and we're nowhere near nothing, man, so true. I don't tell them where I'm from. I tell them where I'm close to, which is exactly. Yeah. So I used to live in Gisborne, which was, I think at the time was a 10,000 person town, which is still pretty big. Or it might have been a little bit less than that. Like when they got a Macca's, it was a really big deal.
That's kind of how I have to explain the same thing, man. I think we've talked before about it, and I said, look, you wouldn't have heard of the place, but if you've heard of Albury Wodonga, it's like an hour, it's like 2 hours or something away from there.
Yeah, so you just tell them where you're close to. Yeah, and then people will get it. Yeah, so we go from Mount Isa to Normanton to Burketown, which is this 200-person town with an airstrip, and then that sort of forms our home base. So the first day we do Normanton, and that's like we do court there, and you fly in the evening. Then in the morning we fly out to wherever it is we're doing court. So on day 1, it's usually Mornington Island, which is like off the coast in the Gulf. You fly out to Mornington, do your court day there. Depending on the list, you fly back somewhere between 2 and 7, which is a long range, I know, but it just depends on how rowdy the people are, what kind of delays we've had due to COVID. And then you fly back to Burketown in the evening where we stay. The prosecutors do it a little bit differently. They fly to each court district like once. So they'll go to Normanton, stay the night there, then they'll fly to Mornington, stay the night there, fly to Doomadgee, stay the night there, whereas we will go back and forth from Burketown. So, day 1, we pass Normanton, finish in Burketown. Day 2, we go Mornington back to Burketown. Day 3, we go to Doomadgee, which is an Aboriginal community, and we do court there, then fly back to Burketown. The 4th and 5th day are usually reserved for long pleas and hearings. So complicated sentences where somebody might have a lot of history or a lot of charges, and hearings, of course, where people are, pleading not guilty, and you need to have witnesses and argue about facts and whatnot. Usually it's Normanton, Mornington Island, and Doomadgee. Once every 3 months, they also do Burketown, but it's usually like 1 or 2 matters because, like, again, a town of 200, there's not a lot of matters that have to go to court. And it's usually like a mid-range drink drive. That's it.
It's nothing huge.
Yeah. So they're pretty chill about it. I always feel really bad for the people that have to go to court for drink driving in Bergtown. And it's not because they're driving whilst they're drinking, right? I think that's pretty stupid. Like, when you do that, you put a lot of other people at risk. But if you don't have a license for 3 months in a town like that, you can't do anything. There's no...
How spread apart is it?
Like, it's like, I mean, you could walk across the town in about 10, 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But all the people out there, like, what they do for fun is like fishing, or they're at school. So you have to, drive out to the river with your boat, or like go with your mates to, I don't know, hunt roos or whatever.
I guess you're going to get real comfortable with a push bike then, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So, like people will lose their license for 3 months or something like that, and they're like, "Oop, rip." So yeah,
Oop, rip.
Yeah, that's what I did all last week. It's really cool. It's very it's a very rewarding thing. I think I'll definitely it's one of those things where you tell stories about it when you're older, I suppose. You'd be like, "Oh yeah, I flew around this tiny little..." Oh, that's the part I have to talk about. The plane. Okay, I briefly touched on the fact that it's an 8-seater plane. Have you ever been on like really small planes like that?
Between Sydney and Newcastle, I think, it wasn't a very big plane.
Yeah.
A few times.
Yeah, so it's really, really small. Like, you sit down and you, like, if you sit up straight, like, you know how sometimes you can sit in a chair and you can kind of like stretch upwards a little bit? If you do that, you will touch the roof. Like, your head will touch the roof. Like, you got to be, it's really, really tiny.
Planes I was in weren't that small, but...
Yeah. It's really, really small. And there's two things that happen when the plane is that small. One, when you're flying in very hot areas like I am, Doomadgee, Mornington, it's like stepping into a Commodore you left parked in the sun, right? It's really, really hot and really, really stuffy, yeah? Two is because you're in like a smaller plane and because your trips are a lot shorter, like the flight to Doomadgee is only 15 to 20 minutes long. They fly at a particularly low altitude, like they don't get all the way up to cruising altitude because there's just like, there's no time, there's no point. So on hotter days, it's really, really rough. Like the plane will move up and down, it'll shake. On really bad days where you've got winds, it'll actually fishtail. So the back end of the plane will swing
Pushes
out.
It around,
Yeah. And bro, I tell you, look, I'm good with roller coasters. I'm good with cars. I'm fine with planes. I've been on planes since I've been a little kid. That steel Pringles can, when it is hurtling back from Doomadgee, oh, dude, your lunch is in serious danger. It's bad.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah,
like the plane that I was in from, I think it was on the way back from Newcastle to Sydney.
Yeah.
It was a bit fucking windy and it started blowing that thing around and it was like tipping over, like it was tilting. Rolling.
Yeah, like
and
doing
I was
barrel
like,
rolls.
well, so the captain's like, just a little bit of wind. I'm like, just a little bit of wind. We're fucking getting blown around. Like this is what I feel like chip packets feel like when there's like a bit of wind and they're getting blown around all over the fucking place. You know when they get caught in like a little dead end hallway or something and they start going up against the walls and shit and that's what it fucking felt like was happening to us.
Everyone's getting tossed like a salad. The captain's like, yeah, ease on, guys.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was just calm. I was calm, but I was thinking to myself, well, this is how I die, then that's fine.
Yeah, so it's a lot of that coming back because, all the heat from the ground will come up and push the plane as well, so it can be pretty wild. The areas are pretty nuts as well, like... I mean, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but Mornington Island is quite interesting because it's a dry community, which means they can't have any alcohol on the island at all, right? So naturally, one of the most common charges that I see up there is possession of liquor. But what is particularly interesting about Mornington Island is they make their own. They make their own alcohol. So... you often hear these stories about, blokes in flannel shirts with beards and curly mustaches that brew their own beer. They have homebrew stuff. You haven't had homebrew till you've had Mornington homebrew, right? Now, Fortunately, I have managed to avoid having Mornington homebrew before because it's ordinarily made. Now, let me paint this image in your head for you. You know those 10-liter water containers that you can pick up at like Woolies or Coles, and they've got those taps on the end. Oh, yeah. So you usually use them for like camping. Like you'll take out like a bunch of water. Yeah. So they fill that with old fruit, sugar, and this product called, I shit you not, turbo yeast.
Yep.
And then they leave that, and then they have later on 10 liters of this homebrew, which works out to be something around 5 to 6% by the time it's done. So
it's almost like a mead sort of thing then.
Yeah.
Like it's not wine. It must be like mead or something. Like,
look, I think if it was more sophisticated, it would be closer to mead. Yeah.
But it's basic.
Yeah, it's very basic. It's like saying that a lemonade is a sparkling beverage, right? Like I mean, yes, but also no. Like you don't put lemonade under sparkling beverages at a restaurant.
No.
So it's very very and it stinks, like really stinks, because it's basically made with rotting fruit, right? Like and as a result, based on my observation, okay, and clearly this doesn't speak for the whole of Mornington Island, because my experience with people that attend court is usually that 90% of people never see the inside of a courtroom. Half the island is jaundiced. So everyone has like yellow irises of their eyes. A lot of people are on dialysis out there.
Jesus.
So it's this idea where it's like, you've removed or you've made alcohol illegal, but as a result, people are just drinking. It's just way more dangerous because it's not regulated. Like people aren't, they're not drinking, VB. Like God knows a bunch of people are being punched, whilst other people are drinking VB, but it's wild. People they'll just scull, homebrew, which is not only alcohol, but, dangerous alcohol. Like, you have a baseline of alcohol's bad for you. This is really bad for you.
I'd imagine this stuff's like on a whole other level of unhealthy. Like
yeah. So, and it's very difficult to police as well, because Mornington's such a small area. The police will usually take the approach of, if we see you with it, tip it out. Yeah. If you don't tip it out, then you have to go to court for it, because it's not ticketable. They have to send them to court for it. So usually when I get there, I have somewhere in the realm of 8 to 10 people, all with possessed liquor offences, and I have to plead them all out.
Did you say it's illegal there? Like alcohol?
Alcohol is illegal. Alcohol in all forms. Like drinking alcohol.
How
like they have a hospital so they can have ethanol and stuff, but what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how do they get away with that sort of thing? Like, how is that able to be law there? Like, just the entire area?
Well, it's because it's declared. I think it's got something to do with the fact that it's declared an Aboriginal community.
Okay.
And so somewhere along the line, they declared that alcohol was a bad thing because, like, it causes a heap of issues. Like, that's one of the biggest issues that faces Indigenous communities is alcohol. Like, for us, whiteys, it's all methamphetamine and ice. But in Aboriginal communities, one of the really big issues is alcohol. You don't see as much methamphetamine, that sort of stuff. So people just get drunk and they have like full-on riots and brawls and whatnot. Like, it's pretty nasty. So Doomadgee, for instance, so we take Mornington Day 1, Doomadgee has a partial restriction on liquor. So you can have, I think, up to certain mid-strength beers or low-strength beers, but you can't have like wine or spirits. So naturally, people go and buy heaps of bottles of Bundy rum. Doomadgee, it's not bad. Yeah. Doomadgee, they get in trouble for importing premixes and spirits and stuff. Mornington, they make their own.
See, that's like... Well, I mean, it's not really like all that stuff. You can buy that stuff online.
Yeah, you can.
Like,
Yeah,
It's, you can order all of the things like the plastic tanks or fucking big glass bottles if you want to. You can order the packs of yeast, the flavorings for different things. Like all that shit is easy to get. And I don't think they can make those things illegal because by themselves, they're not illegal.
Yeah.
It's the end product that you're making. Like to buy a huge fucking piece of steel, it's not illegal. If you then turn it into a sword and start walking around with it, maybe the police might have an issue with what you've done. But by itself, buying the tools and the materials to make this thing, they're not illegal by themselves. And that's like, there's always going to be a workaround like that, or people will just smuggle shit in one way or another. They're going to get, if they want the alcohol, they're going to get it.
Yeah, I'm looking at turbo yeast to try and find it. I'm pretty sure it makes...
What happens to them, just out of curiosity? Do they end up like doing time put away, or do they
for possessed
get
liquor?
fined, or... Yeah.
Fines.
Well, that's pointless as well. Like,
yeah.
Just,
depending
what's
on
the fucking point of that?
Well, so let me give you an example. I sentenced a bunch of people I was part of it. I didn't sentence them. Obviously, the magistrate sentences them, right? But I repped them on sentence. So when I say I sentence them, okay, just understand that it's me using short form.
Hamish did this.
Yeah,
Hamish is keeping the little guys down.
Yeah, I didn't pass judgment. I was just involved in a sentence, right? So I had one bloke who had about 200 mil in a 10-liter container, and he was pulled up by the coppers, but he was a little bit of a young lad. He freaked out, panicked, tried to jump the fence, tripped over, and the coppers, being sober, caught him. And so he ended up getting like a $200 fine for the possessed liquor and $300 for the obstruct police, which is running, right? Which, fun fact, do not run from the coppers. Almost all offences involving running from the coppers are bad news.
Unless you're absolutely sure you can get away. Which I have 3 times. Look, if you think you can get away, and you definitely can, fucking do it, man.
All right,
that.
listen. In Queensland, evade police. So if they throw the lights and sirens on, evade police is a mandatory $5,500 to $6,000 fine, or 50 days actually in jail. That's it.
50
that's
days
your choice.
Actually in jail.
Yeah, that's the minimum. So you either spend 50 days behind bars or $5.5 to $6 grand. Like,
just to make it absolutely 100% clear.
Yeah.
Hamish is a lawyer, and I am not.
Yeah, so
I've never seen the inside of a courtroom, so don't take legal advice from me.
And do not use the podcast as a substitute for legal advice. Always consult a relevant legal practitioner. So I'm a practicing solicitor of coming up on 3 years now. So I had that guy. I had another bloke who had a few Great Northern cans. He got fined $150. I had a group of ladies who brought some Bundy rum with them. Between the 3 of them, they had like 2 bottles of Bundy rum and 48 cans of premix. And they got fined like $150 each. They had no history. And then I had one bloke who attempted to bring in a whole bunch of turbo yeast. Tried to bring in 10 kilos of turbo yeast. And for reference, 1 kilo of turbo yeast will generally make 10 litres of home brew at 6%.
Yeah.
So they got fined $1,300.
Jesus.
Magistrate was not fucking around.
Was it because bringing in that quantity was like intent to produce alcohol or something like that? Like it would have.
Yes. Yeah. There's a related charge for possessing yeast, basically.
Yeah. So in smaller amounts, maybe you'd get away with it, but bringing in how much did you say? 10 kilos or something?
10 kilos of turbo yeast. Yeah.
I mean, you're not being subtle at that point, are you? You're like,
no. And like if you had fucking flour, sugar, and I don't know, eggs in there, and regular yeast, maybe he might have been able to explain his way out of it. But 10 kilos of turbo yeast.
I've got some birthdays coming up. I want to make some cakes.
Honestly, that comes up a lot. like people will say, oh yeah, I just wanted to get a bunch of alcohol for family. And I'm like, okay, so what, is there a party going on? He's like, yeah, there's a party. So I just got alcohol for the party. And they've got like 12 bottles of spirits for a party with like 7 people. And
Yeah,
you're
mate.
like, listen, buddy, I've done the math. No.
Look, I'm not an alcoholic, but I've had a few drinks in my day, and this seems excessive.
You'd be surprised. People can. I've had readings of 0.26 in facts that I've seen. 0.26 is pretty high. I think my colleague has had as high as.
Have you had soju before?
0.29. No. Oh wait, hang on. Is that Korean like
Yes.
fruit? Yeah, that stuff kicks
Yes.
like a mule.
It does.
Yeah.
I went out to a Korean barbecue place last night.
Okay. I want for those of you listening, I want you to know that we had a script full of like stream Twitch related stuff,
Which we will get to.
Today's a variety episode. You're getting you're getting a little bit different.
So I went out to this place, and then I was like, I got a bottle of that bullshit.
Yeah.
Fucking what did I get? Plum. I got plum.
Yeah,
It's a bunch of different flavors, but yeah, I just got plum.
Yeah. So can you kind of like explain soju for people listening that maybe haven't had it before?
It's kind of like it honestly, man. If I felt like it's a little bit like, it's almost like wine, like somewhere between wine and maybe like cider.
Yep.
I don't know how to sort of explain it any better than that.
Okay, here we go. So I've just Googled it. Soju, a Korean variation on vodka, traditionally made
Really?
from rice, more commonly from sweet potato these days. What would you put at a percent on soju?
I think it was like 15% or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, so generally they sit at
what the
about
ones were last night.
24% according to Google.
Jesus Christ.
Beer is anywhere between 4 to 5%. Wine's 13%. It's so you're looking at basically a midway between beer, wine, and vodka. So vodka's at 40%, wine's at about 13%, soju sits at 24%, and they sell it in bottles that look like beer bottles.
Yeah.
So
it just looked like a beer bottle.
yeah, you can get it
deceptive.
Yeah, you can think you're drinking cider, and then you'll have one
Yeah.
mouthful, and you'll go, "Oh no!"
That's what it was like, man. So I was sipping away at it, and because it was like Korean barbecue place, so they put this fucking hot thing in the middle and put a grill plate thing over the top of it, and you just
Korean
dump meat and
barbecue's
shit on there
awesome.
and cook it.
Yeah.
So 4 people at a table. None of the other 3 people wanted to sort of take charge of putting meat on there. Like they're all just fucking staring at it and going, "What do we do?" I'm like, well, I'm just gonna pick the tongs up and start fucking putting meat on this shit.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
For fuck's sake, like, do you want to eat or not? Someone has
the
to
captain.
start cooking this food.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I took
I'm
over
the
that.
captain now.
So I spent the whole time, I don't know, two odd hours putting meat on this thing and fucking handing it out to everyone else and eating like little bits myself here and there. By the end of it, I realized that I'd actually had fuck all to eat and drank 2 bottles of soju. So I was like, well, I'm not feeling very sharp.
No.
I'm a bit fucking slow right now.
No, God. Well, I mean, let's do the math. They're usually a little bit smaller than a beer bottle, right? So let's say that it's 80% the size of a beer bottle. Let's say that a beer bottle is 1 drink. You're looking at maybe 8 drinks with 2 bottles of soju. Would you say that's about somewhere right?
I don't know, maybe.
Did it feel like 8 drinks?
It felt like a fair bit. It's weird though. That stuff doesn't like. It's fine. You're fine, and then suddenly you're not fine.
You're
and
not
you know
fine.
it. Yeah.
You're the dog. You're the dog in the room.
Yeah, you're
Everything
in the
is
room with the fucking
fine.
fire everywhere. Everything's fine, and you try to stand up, and you're like, "Well, no, I'm just going to sit down." Looks like I don't need to go to the toilet after all. I'm just going to fucking sit here for a bit.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that was a problem because I needed to drive home from the city, so
Wow. So how did you get back?
I drove home from the city. What do you mean?
Okay, all right.
I hung around a little bit longer, waited to sober up a bit, drank a bunch of water.
Yeah,
and then
right. Okay,
fucking
so
went home.
you made every effort to sort yourself out.
Yeah,
That's good.
I still wasn't quite right, but
Yeah.
it's all right. I went through a McDonald's and bought a bunch of food there as well.
Ill-advised, but necessary in the end,
Well.
it seems.
Look, it was better than leaving my ute in this fucking car park that was not at all secure. There's no cameras everywhere. I was like, it's in Northbridge. I don't want to fucking leave my ute here. It's a Ford, so some bogan will come through and just scratch it or just smash it just because it's a fucking Ford. I don't want to leave it here. It needs to come home.
Rightio.
Do you want to start getting into these things now? We're done talking about ourselves.
Halftime.
Oh, it's fucking
honestly.
half time. What
Yeah,
the fuck?
we had a proper go at it,
Mate.
Well, look,
Do you want a cup of coffee? Do you want me to start? Do you want a
No,
cup of coffee?
hands up. I'm hands off.
Do you want a cup of coffee? Far better to wake up to than a couple of tired radio hosts.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Do you really don't like Hamish and Andy?
I know, I can tell. Do you want a cup of coffee that will let you survive a trip in a little 8-seater plane?
I'm not sure how the coffee will help with that, but look, anything to distract me from the fact that I'm basically being blown around in a fucking paper plane.
I can tell you it doesn't. The raise in heart rate and the sweating does not help.
Just going to drink this coffee and make myself more alert and more aware of what's happening to me right now.
Exactly, yeah.
Perfect. Do you want a cup of coffee that goes really well with a bit of Baileys?
It actually does. That is so good. Like, you do a cappuccino and Killer Coffee with Baileys, would recommend. Do you want a cup of coffee that will taste a hell of a lot better than Morno homebrew?
What do you mean, mate? That's the peak.
It's the peak.
That's the peak of all beverages. There's nothing better.
The worst part is they make it with like mangoes. Like that's like I can't imagine how sickly sweet that must be.
Have you tried mango beer?
Hang on. I've had the summers with mango. There's like a 4X variety that they make.
That might be the one. That might be the one I'm thinking of. Dad's had it at his house heaps of times, and
very sweet.
I think Mum buys it for him, and he just fucking has it there. And every time I'm there, he's like, "Oh, do you want a beer?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't want." That's like, no, I don't want a fruit beer. Leave me alone.
Just give me my soju, Dad.
Have you got a Miller's or a fucking like Crownies or a fucking Coors or something? I don't want that garbage fucking.
Yeah.
Fruit beer.
So one day we'll actually contact Killer Coffee and we'll be like, "Hey guys,
maybe
we've been doing this joke for nearly a year now."
Oh fuck, it is too, man. Like by no, it's only September. So like January, February next year.
Yeah,
it'll be almost a year that
maybe for the 1 year episode we'll talk to a Killer Coffee rep. That's
see if one of them would be interested in coming on for 10-15 minutes to talk to us.
That would actually be hilarious. I would love that.
They probably wouldn't put themselves in that position. Be like, "Who are you guys?" No,
no,
we're not doing that.
So let's talk a little bit about Twitch
Which
news
one, mate?
This week. Well, I want to talk about the mid-roll ads in a second. I want to maybe talk about that at length. But a couple of quick ones off the top. Ninja is back on Twitch. It looks like he's re-signed or something like that. He didn't go to YouTube. You and I were both of the opinion that he would go back to YouTube after his really poor history with Twitch. It must just be the case that a lot of his base is still with Twitch and he still likes that Twitch culture. I would have thought that the mess up must have or would have pushed him away, but looks like
he probably just signed a new deal. He probably just signed a new deal with him. Like he may have approached both sides and said, "Look, which one of you is going to give me more money?" And Twitch after the whole doc thing. And all the drama that they have going on with the bands and Hassan, all that shit. They're probably like, just please, like, we need something. We need some source of revenue here. Yeah. Please come back.
Yeah. So on top of that, we had a couple of high-profile bands. We had a very quick one from Forzen, which I actually haven't put in the script. Did you see Forzen's ban?
No.
He was banned for 24 hours. He got picked up when he said what he said was "fuck it," right? But in his really thick accent, it almost sounded like a gay slur, if I could put it that way.
Okay.
Right? So I don't get myself cancelled. So he was banned for 24 hours until he put out a video on Twitter and he was like, "Hey guys, it's just my accent. Like I said, fuck it. like, don't, like, yeah, come on, can we not? And so they unbanned him, and obviously, I imagine he's going to be a lot more careful in the future. Another big one was Destiny. He hasn't been banned, but he's getting his partnership status removed. What they did is they've basically said, yeah, we're going to remove your partnership under their clause, which is basically encouraging violence. The reason why is because he was talking about the riots in America. Mm-hmm. Destiny's very politically charged, does a lot of political conversations. And I actually went and got the text for you. I don't know if you read through it, but what he said was, I went and transcribed it earlier, the rioting needs to fucking stop. And if that means white redneck fucking militia dudes mowing down protesters that think they can torch buildings at 10 p.m., then at this point they have my fucking blessing, because holy shit, this fucking shit needs to stop. It needed to stop a long time ago, right? Now, when I read it like that, it sounds even worse because I'm reading it at a regular pace. He said that quite quick. But yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Talk about a slip of the tongue. There's, leaving a word off, and then there's that. So
I just, you're never going to forget that. It's never going to go away.
So yeah, Destiny's partnership's being removed. And then we've got a couple of big ones. You said that COD League is moving to PC.
It is.
Yeah. So do we want to start there? And then we'll work our way through some of the other stuff we've got here.
Well, I mean, that was really just a short one that I guess, yeah, that was just a really fucking short thing that I found interesting. Because
did they say why they're moving over to PC?
I don't know. I didn't even read the article yet. I just saw the headline, thought it was interesting that they've said COD League moves to PC.
Yeah.
But mouse and keyboard isn't allowed. So that means that they have to stick with controllers still.
Okay, so, I mean, here's the thing. The Call of Duty League has always been pretty staunch about only using controllers. And I think that's fine. I think if you are going to have a pro scene, I don't... Like, the limitations that you put your players under, as long as they're consistent, it's fine. One of the things that Shroud talked about a long time ago with Fortnite is he has real big issues with Fortnite being competitive because of its cross-platform nature. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter if controller has an advantage over PC or if PC has an advantage over controller. Everyone should be at the same level. Everyone should have the same thing, because then the determining factor is the player's skill, and that's what you want. That's what you want in a pro match.
The only way you can do that, though, is to make sure that everyone has the same... Everyone's using the same fucking regulation equipment.
Yeah, so Call of Duty used to have it that, you were always on console. Looks like they're moving over to PC, but the inputs are still being handled through controllers. I'm interested to see what they do as far as the systems are concerned. I know, for instance...
They'd all be standard. Like, really, they'd just be like... They'd have to... In comps, they'd have to have their own systems there. Like they'd have same way as they have with the consoles right now. They just have the consoles all set up. You log in, and then play. You don't bring your PlayStation or Xbox or whatever in. These would be the same. The PCs would just be all standard. I think you could
bring your controller. I know
probably.
I know for League, for instance, and there's a lot of money in this, by the way. People don't realize. For League, World Season's coming up. Right, it starts on the 25th and it goes for a month. I'm super excited because I play a whole lot of League, and this is their big event and yada yada. But all of their stuff, so all the monitors, I think, and all of the systems are basically sponsored by Alienware. So a lot of their marketing has had subtle Alienware references in there. All of the chairs are Secret Lab chairs. So I've even got a Secret Lab chair. I'm just trying to move so the camera can see it. But I'm interested to see whether the move to PC was influenced by potentially a big sponsorship opportunity. Like a company has moved in and said, hey, we'll supply all of the computers as long as you put our name on the front. Here's,
This will be interesting for...
so many millions.
I mean, there's a couple of things about this that I found interesting. Firstly, they moved to PC. but they're sticking with controllers. In the article, it says this means that all pro matches will be played on PC, and all pro players must use a league-approved controller of their choice. Call of Duty League competition will maintain exclusive use of controllers for the upcoming season. This change provides players with expanded choice of controller, allowing them to select the league-approved controller style that works best for their game.
Yep.
More details and rules pertaining to peripherals will be released at a further date. So they're probably gonna ban shit like scuff controllers, anything that has like extra buttons and shit, or that you could fuck with and have like, you know, rapid fire, like the really old controllers used to have for certain buttons. Yeah. All that shit will be done away with. They'll probably have controls that are like, you know, just basic variations of the Xbox or PlayStation controller of the time. They're not going to be anything crazy or too out there. No. The other reason that I found this interesting was the reason that they've stuck with consoles for these things is because they've had a partnership with either like Xbox or like Sony's.
I'm willing to bet it would be PlayStation.
It is still at the moment. I think PlayStation's getting early access to bits and pieces here and there, but this might be a move away from that. If Sony wasn't willing to, you know, sponsor the league, then why bother using PlayStations for everything and putting Sony logos all over the fucking place? If they're not giving them money, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Yeah. And PC gives them the most flexibility as far as setting up, you know, setting up custom matches and things and like networking at these events. It's a lot better to do all that on a PC, I'd imagine, especially as far as like custom tools for running the matches and viewing the matches, like spectating them. Yeah. All of that shit is so much probably easier for them to do on a PC than it is to write special tools for consoles and then have them connected up to all that bullshit.
Yeah, you'd have a lot more control, a lot more flexibility.
More freedom. PC. Yeah, a lot more flexibility with that shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, interesting to see. I still think it's quite cool that COD is mainly controller-based. I think, there's arguments to say, but you know, if you had PC, you'd be able to move X, Y, Z better, yada, yada. It's just like, I've seen some of these COD pros play. Like, the level of skill that these guys have on a controller is nuts. It's insane. It's really,
they
really
are
cool
good
to
players.
Watch. Yeah.
But there are some things that they're never going to be able to do. And that, you know...
But I mean, that's it's the argument's also like, you know, downhill skiing. It's like, yeah, why don't we strap jets to the back of the downhill skiers?
No.
Like it's kind of like it's kind of besides the point. I think if
you try and it's not. So if someone gets behind you on console and starts firing, you have almost like the chances of you being able to turn around fast enough to turn that fight in your favor are super fucking low. On PC, if you can 180 quick enough, you've got the guy fucked. Like you could, you can only do that with a mouse. That's the only combination of like that fast turnaround speed and then the fine aim afterwards. You can't do that with a stick.
No. I mean,
and it's not that I'm being like a fucking elitist or whatever. I played consoles for fucking years, man. When I couldn't afford a decent PC, that's all I fucking had. Like, and I played enough to know the limitations. It's a whole different thing using a mouse to aim with.
I mean, I think what I'm sort of trying to say is I don't think it's lessened by the fact that they only use controllers. I think it's cool that everyone's on the same page, and I feel like if there's going to be one place where everybody's on controllers, it may well be Call of Duty. Like, it's one of the biggest games for consoles. So kind of makes sense.
I mean, it's also kind of a it's probably a thing as well. Like Call of Duty is mostly aimed at. Would you say it's fair to say that it's mostly aimed towards teenage boys? That seems to be
15 to 24 bracket. Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay, early 20s as well. Yeah, that's pretty accurate, I'd say as well. A lot of dudes in that age bracket. You know, PCs are getting sort of more affordable now for games and things like that, but most of them are still just going to have console because it's easier. They don't have to buy a PC or build a PC or whatever, or spec one out, worry about upgrades and updates, and
they can just buy the console,
buy the game, and they just play. Yeah.
Yeah.
So watching the pros play with a controller gives them that, you know, it's the same as like touring car racing, the 60s and 70s.
Mm.
These bogans are watching the race on the weekend and then going, oh, fuck yeah, I can go out and buy that exact car. I could drive one of those cars. I feel like it's the same thing here. Like they're watching these guys just smash the shit out of other people with a controller, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I can do that too." Whereas watching guys like Simple or Shroud or fucking even like Justin Man or Skadoodle, Scar was fucking crazy. If you've seen any of him playing Apex or
I've seen he's played with Shroud a little bit.
Yeah. I don't watch them and think, well, they're using keyboard and mouse. Fuck, I can do that. I bet I could get. There's no way.
No, there's no way.
I think skill
there's
ceiling
something else
is a lot higher for keyboard and mouse than it is with a controller. So I think it's more relatable. It's easier to trick kids, I suppose, or get them excited about playing with a controller than it is to get them excited about playing with keyboard and mouse.
Let's talk about mid-roll ads. This was big news in the Twitter sphere. I say that in streamer Twitter because streamer Twitter is a cesspit. And if you yourself are looking at getting into content creation, I strongly recommend that you stay as far away from streamer Twitter as you possibly can.
What do you mean?
However, Twitch announced that... well, actually, they didn't provide a reason. I was about to say in an effort to blank, but they didn't really say why. I think it's just to raise more revenue. They're going to run, or they're going to force mid-roll ads on Twitch streams. Now,
well, it does say why.
Yeah.
It's, if you read the tweet, this tweet that they announced it with just said, starting today, we'll be testing automated mid-roll ads for some viewers. It says for some viewers. Like, what does that mean? For 90% of, or for
well, they're
very
just
tiny number?
testing it to see if it's effective.
Yeah. These ads will directly support the creator and won't run if the viewer has had an ad break in that channel recently.
Yeah.
Directly support the creator. Why? Like that implies that the ad only runs to send money towards the creator.
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
That's not.
There's no way.
No. So.
There's no way that's true.
What they're trying to do there is mitigate some of the flame that they're going to receive by saying, hey, it's going to support your creator. What they don't really tell you is that Twitch's CPM for creators is fucking garbage. For context, I think Harris Heller was talking about this. He said in his past month he received about 10 grand in CPM from YouTube and he got 200 from Twitch. That's the ratio. So CPM, by the way, I think is cents per minute. I forget what the acronym's for, but it's basically the amount that you receive. What CPM means, cost per thousand. There you go. So it's about it's the money you receive per ad shown to people per click received. Yeah. It's garbage. The rate that you're paid for running ads on your stream is horrible. If that were improved, I think more streamers would run ads. So at current, or before this change was introduced, the way that Twitch handled ads was pre-roll ads primarily. So when you entered a new stream, you would get about 30 seconds of ads. If you're like me, you always get the same Xbox ad to the point where you know each explosion off by heart. And then you go into the stream. Streamers have an option to run ads. I think you can run 30-second ads at a time up to 3 minutes. I'm sure if you just wanted to make your entire stream ads, you could do it. But the idea is that you're then basically making sure that your channel doesn't have pre-roll ads run on it for new viewers if you run ads mid-stream. So you can choose to then go, let's go to ad break. What Twitch is now doing is what YouTube does, which is at a certain point in the video, it will play an ad. And Twitch's system will now have the live stream go down into the lower right corner, I think, and mute the stream. So you still have a view of the stream because it's live, right? It's not like YouTube where it's a pre-recorded video and you just pause and yada yada. It's live, and so it minimizes it. So a lot of people have gone with this idea that it's going to ruin a lot of live content because there'll be some, huge moment on stream and people will have it muted because they got a mid-roll.
Did you see the guy who simulated how bad this would be? He was doing like a Dark Souls run, supposed to be like a no-hit boss.
Yeah,
or something like that.
I think that was Otstava. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but I just remember seeing the clip on Twitter, and he did it perfectly, man. Because like the ad plays, his thing moves to the very top right, this tiny little screen. You can't see what the fuck's going on. The ad plays the whole way through, and then when the ad finishes and his stream comes back on, they're like mid-celebration for having done it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think. I know Lift Your Game, who's an Australian streamer, made the same thing, except he went like multiple layers. So he had like ads on ads on ads to the point where he had like 5 picture-in-pictures. But yeah, the general idea is this is going to be a very, very annoying feature and might ruin a lot of the fun that Twitch provides. 2 big misconceptions with this, though. One is subscribers are immune to mid-roll ads. So if you don't want to get mid-roll ads, you can subscribe to a stream. 2, the streamer has the ability to stop the mid-roll ads from being forced on you by running ads at a time that they dictate. And I think it's 30 seconds of ads to an hour of immunity from mid-rolls. So the streamer is now effectively forced into a position where they have to run ads in their breaks to avoid
we kind of
scenarios
already are
like
in that. So that ties into something that because I was on Twitter when this was kind of happening. I don't remember why. I got a notification about something else that dragged me there, and then I saw this and started jumping on it. So your idol Harris Heller said things that can be done to fix Twitch's ad experience.
I don't know if I'd say idol, but I think he's a good example.
Oh mate,
we've shit on Harris.
The hair and the stubble. I see what you're doing there.
White guy, short beard, long hair. All right, is very common. All right,
is it? Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I'm a basic bitch, Andy. All right,
basic bitch, Andy. All right, so he's given a list. Make them skippable. Make them shorter. Allow lower tier ads. Utilize space next to the stream. Give creators an actual cut of the revenue. Oh, careful now, mate. Fucking, we can't have things that make sense.
Yeah, don't make sense. Yeah.
Make an option where if you have enough active subs, it counts as Twitch Turbo.
I don't know what the fuck.
So I replied to him and said, right now I run ads voluntarily just to get rid of pre-rolls for new people.
Yeah.
Nothing kills going to a new stream faster than having to sit through a long, loud, annoying ad for something I give 0 fucks about.
Yeah.
Pre-rolls ruin raid hype every time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the change that they made where you could run your own ads to disable pre-rolls, I think that was a great choice. I think that was really, really good because it gave you the power, right? It basically said, listen, man, pre-rolls have been running on your stream forever. Now you have the option. You can run ads and then people won't have pre-rolls. And I think all in all, you're probably looking at a greater exposure to ads for people that are tuning in regularly if you're doing that. Like I know for Ninja was pretty good with it. I think when he was doing Fortnite, he would run like a minute 30 of ads whilst he was queuing up. And that's the best time to do it. Like that's, I kind of get
me.
It. No,
like, you've played games with me where like when we're queuing, those times when we're like waiting for a match to pop, like getting to a raid or fucking whatever, that's when the best jokes, like the worst shit that I'm saying is coming out of my mouth.
Well, because you're not doing anything else. Yeah, you're not focusing on the game. Yeah.
So I'm just talking absolute shit. And those are some of the times where we've gone into a raid. At the start of the raid, half of us are in fucking tears laughing. Like we're unable to play.
Yeah.
And then we slowly get into it as we start running around and shooting at things.
Yeah.
But I can see how that would be a thing for Ninja or guys like him who, aren't super active when there's nothing going on, nothing for them to react to. They just run the ads and go to the toilet, grab a drink or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing people need to remember is this is mid-rolls on top of pre-rolls. So now you really, as a streamer, you're going to have to start thinking about how am I going to potentially incorporate ad breaks in, because The fact of the matter is,
that's what
it's,
this is.
at least for me, I think you need to assert control over your content. And to do that now in Twitch's platform, you need to be conscious of how ads work.
Well, I know how I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start when I start my stream up first. There's usually no one there for a good 5 minutes or so. Unless someone jumps in
ads.
with me. I'm just going to run like a minute 30 ad or something. I'm just going to run like a long one when there's no one there to see it, because then I've run the ad. And
the
then
ultimate
I
pre-roll.
get fucking pre-rolls and people coming in. Yeah, fuck it, man. Like if you're going to force me to do something that arguably makes the stream experience worse for viewers, I'm going to do it in a way that, you know, benefits everyone except you.
You know what that reminds me of?
Except Twitch.
It reminds me of movie ads. You get in, there's like 10 to 15 minutes of trailers.
Yeah. The difference is like you come to expect that, and sometimes you're like, I actually kind of look forward to those because I'm like, well, there could be something here that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and movie trailers are a whole thing. Movie trailers are usually entertaining. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they are. But, you know, watching the same Call of Duty ad, you know, every time I open a new stream, I don't want that anymore.
Yeah, there's a difference between an ad and a trailer, I think.
I also had a couple other responses to this. So the Twitch support one, when they posted this, my reply to it was absolutely not. And then quotation, the stream will be muted, but continue to play in a smaller window on the page is not good enough. Look at all the comments. Nobody wants this. Maybe make them optional so we're able to turn them off if they're disruptive, which they 100% will be.
Yeah, they will be. I think like a lot of people take the position that ads is what keeps Twitch running. Like Twitch costs a lot of money to run and you need to have ads. So like, you know, just suck it up. But by the same token, there are better ways to do this. One of Harris's suggestion, if I recall, one of the things that you said was to make use of the space on the side.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the fact that, let's say that you have, what if, here's
I
another,
don't like that you said that because now Twitch is going to be like, oh, mate, you
like
know what all
sidebar
these sites have
ads.
that we don't? Banner ads.
Yeah,
Fuck
banner
yes.
ads. Yeah, like that's
No.
that would be one of the options they could implement. One of the things that just occurred to me is a delay system. So let's imagine that you as a viewer, right, are about to be hit with a mid-roll ad, right? And let's say that you as a viewer then go, all right, well, Twitch goes, hey, we're going to hit you with a mid-roll in like a minute. Do you want it now or do you want it in a minute's time? And then you could just select when you want that ad, right? I don't think it gives you a hell of a lot of control, but it gives you the illusion of choice. And I think that feels better, right? This is my little, you know, corporate mind coming out. But I think if you give people a little bit of a modicum of control, that's going to be more of a feels better system.
Well, there's a couple of things here that, like, even if we picked only a couple of his suggestions here, like make them shorter. A 10-second ad, that's going to annoy me, but I can deal with it. 15-second ad, whatever. Like,
yeah,
they piss me off on YouTube, but I mostly deal with them. They don't piss me off enough that I want to pay for, you know, premium or whatever.
Yeah, but see, this is just, it's almost just avoiding the problem then, because you sort of have to get a solution that benefits both Twitch and the streamer and the viewer. You need to find a win-win-win. Otherwise, it just won't be done.
Give creators an actual cut. Like if you actually gave us a decent cut of the ad revenue, then sure,
yeah, if your CPM wasn't garbage. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is make them skippable for people. Like if you put a thing there that allows people to skip the ads, then you know we don't care.
Yeah, give them 2 skips a stream.
Vast majority of streamers, watch content on YouTube or like watch other things. We at some point or another we have to skip an ad. We have all skipped an ad at some point. I don't know a single fucking person who watches shit on YouTube or anywhere else, and every single time an ad pops up, they're like, no, I'm going to sit here through this ad because it supports the creator and I'm all about that. No one ever fucking does that.
Have you noticed that YouTube ads are structured around that now? The first 5 seconds are really, really punchy.
They try to keep your attention, yeah.
Yeah.
They try to get your attention so that you don't skip the rest of the ad.
Yeah, the first 5 seconds, that's where it's at. There was even ads for a little while. It was trendy to be like, wait, don't skip the ad. I have to tell you about house insurance. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Great. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Oh, I've got something for you. If you want to skip the ad, do it. But if you do, you're going to miss out on...
Skip.
Yeah,
Skip, Andy.
Yeah, skip.
Skip.
I already have my thumbnail. I used to make a point. Like, I wonder if they keep track of, like, because it has the button there that's saying skip ad in, and then there's, like, time. There's a timer.
Yeah.
I just fucking spam my thumb on that button, like, yeah. I hope all these, like, presses are recorded somewhere. Like, oh, it looks like this guy pressed the skip ad button 40 times in 3 seconds. We really wanted to skip this ad. One more reply here that I had to reply to as well.
Yep.
Hamilton, H4 Milton. I'm guessing it's Hamilton.
Yeah.
She's responded to the Twitch support thing saying, any thoughts on this? For me, this could be the end of my stream. Looks like Twitch are trying to kill ASMR streams. I didn't even think about that until I saw this response.
Yeah.
I also think it's going to drive traffic away from Twitch. People will click off the moment they get a pre-roll ad and head to YouTube. So I replied with, I don't watch ASMR content, but I'd imagine having it interrupted by a guy screaming, for the players, while explosions and gunfire try to make you care about the next COD would be a bit detrimental to your experience.
Yep.
So she actually replied to that, said 100%. A lot of people use it for sleep and to help with anxiety. I didn't think about that. A loud advert definitely doesn't help with either of those.
Yeah. So, I mean, and another thought's just come to my mind, speed running. So there are certain speedrun categories that exceed an hour. Even if you ran a bunch of ads before you started a run, people would very easily get ads mid-run.
End up with mid-roll ads, yeah.
And here's the thing. Speedruns are usually recorded or watched live to verify that they're authentic. Because, you know, there's a huge deal in verifying speedruns. I know there's one of the most popular breakdowns is a guy who literally talks about how certain like in-game elements, like certain UI elements, a turning circle, are different, or people are able to determine based on the sound that they're hearing whether it's an emulator or a real game. Like the speedrunning community fact-checking division, or whatever the hell that small group of the already small group community is, those dudes are superhuman. I've seen some of the shit that they've done. It's nuts.
Did you play a lot of NES games, like the old fucking rectangle controller with 2 red buttons?
I vaguely remember it, but the
cartridges.
first system I remember playing on clearly was the PS1. I know we had a SNES, but the first one I have clear memories about is Gran Turismo and Medieval, which were both PS1 games.
Yeah. So there's a lot of those old games, there's emulation for them that in some cases isn't perfect. So there are quirks in like the emulation that didn't exist on the original console. But there's also, like, it also works the opposite way. Like when they've written these emulators and then started running games on them to check for compatibility, they've noticed like, oh, the original game had this quirk due to the hardware of the NES. If we just like fiddle with this part of the emulator, we can fix that problem that existed forever.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't exist in the emulation. Like it goes both ways. But you're right. Like there's guys who, I mean, the guys who speedrun like Battletoads, the original Battletoads. They are fucking nutcases, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would put yourself through that, but they do, whatever. Like the guys who are that level of dedication to like one fucking game. Like I think you've mentioned Mario, like Super Mario 64 being
that's
one.
probably the biggest category. Yeah.
Those guys, like, there's so many people who know that game so fucking well. They know every little thing that should, like, not just things that should be right, but things that should be wrong.
Yes. Yeah. They have an incredible knowledge of the game. There was somebody showed Bennett Foddy a speed run of Getting Over It. And Jesus. Bennett talked about how game developers and speedrunners have a very weird relationship, because speedrunners are one of the only groups of people that will be able to fully appreciate all of the effort that the devs put into a game, and they'll learn every single mechanic, every bit of art, every detail, and then they will break the game over their knee. Like that's the way that he basically looks at it, and he says, "Yeah."
If you want to see a really fucking weird speed run, go find there's speed runs of Prey, the newest one. There's so much weird game breaking shit where they're like they've found this one little spot on top of a box or something that if you climb on it the right way, you break through the fucking edge of the map and you're outside of you clip through the map and then you can go to this section here.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
so weird to watch. I'm like, I would never have if I ever found any of this shit by accident, I wouldn't think to how can I further myself to the next part of the game?
Yeah.
What's I would just be like, oh fuck, I broke it.
Yeah, and you tend to see with speedrunning as well. For those of you that aren't familiar with speedrunning, it's honestly you don't have to be a huge fan of it, but you can. I kind of I'll watch speedruns very occasionally. I don't usually watch any percent speedruns because ordinarily they have a lot of glitches and clipping and stuff, and I don't really understand exactly what's going on.
That stuff's really interesting though. I find that really interesting to figure out that somebody figured out this thing is broken, but they not only found out that this thing is broken, they figured out how to replicate
how to use it,
and also how to use it to gain progress in the game that they shouldn't be able to otherwise.
Yeah. Well, see, you and I would both look at Doom Eternal in two very different ways. The any percent speedrun for Doom Eternal, I think, is 36, 37 minutes. It might even be lower than that, right? The 100% Ultra Nightmare mode glitchless speedruns are at about 2 hours 30. And that's the whole game, everything completed, every unlock, every mastery, whatever, in 2.5 hours. Watching those guys play Doom Eternal like that, it's pretty incredible. They know all the spawns. They know exactly what's spawning when. Their aim is on point. Their movement's on point. It's very, very cool to watch. Would recommend. But yeah, so if you're not a huge speedrunning fan, maybe give some of that a look. There's some of the Doom Eternal stuff, really, really good watch.
I know some people have they don't like that kind of thing because they're what's the point? Who cares if you can get through the game fastest? To me, it's just just a new. I'm posting a link in here. This guy.
Yeah, it's also really cool if you've played the game yourself, because then you can understand.
This guy, world record, 8 shots in 1 second on a single target. 12 shots and a reload on a single target as well. I think single target.
Fastest shooter ever.
Yeah, this guy is fucking crazy.
All right, I'm just kind of
It's also a video of him
through to try and find. Whoa!
Yeah, he's fucking quick, man.
Jesus. 50 cal, Barrett 50 cal, 6 shots in under 1 second. What a madman! Are you serious?
So Barretts are not fully auto; they're semi. So he's after his first shot, he's waiting for it to finish cycling, and just as it's about to finish, he pulls the trigger again at just the right moment to fire the next round. Just as it's at the end.
Imagine being in a tank and getting hit with that. You'd shit yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this guy's that's what I mean. But these are the same kind of people who they do one thing so much that they learn every little trick. They learn their timing perfect, the precision of everything they do. That's what's impressive.
It's mastery. Yeah.
So a lot of speed runs that rely on glitches. Mm-hmm. The windows for some of those glitches to be performed is so fucking tiny.
One
to
frame,
perform them
2
consistently over and over, those guys. That's what's impressive about that for me. Sure, getting 100% run or doing all whatever speed run. That's cool as well. That you have to remember where everything is and be able to get to it quickly. But I feel like the glitch speed runs are more impressive because they have to remember every little trick, how to perform it properly, and they actually have to pull it off. They have to do everything absolutely perfect. For me, there's more precision in doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, I'd give you that. Yeah.
I think it does get a little bit confusing. If you don't know the game well enough, you'd be like, what's happening? What the fuck?
Yeah, and a lot
Like
of it.
I can't
Yeah, and a lot
I
of
wouldn't be
it,
able to watch a glitch speed run for something like Kingdom Hearts or whatever if such a thing exists
No.
because it's too boring to
It
me.
absolutely
But I could watch it
exists.
happen in Prey. It does it? Okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that, but I can watch it. Yeah, it depends on the game, I suppose. We're getting pretty far off topic too. Like, but your point was that like these kind of games that require a lot of attention to detail,
Yeah.
and they're very fast to perform. Even a 30-second ad, you could miss
a lot.
You could miss things that you could miss a lot in that 30 seconds. You're like, well, like, fuck. And now I've got to get back in the VOD, and it's
Yeah,
just,
I mean, hey,
Twitch, why are you
getting
doing
over
this?
it, speed runs are about a minute long. That's half the run.
Hell, man.
You could miss half of a world record run. Anyway, comments from last week. A bunch of YouTube comments. Good
Did
old.
we get a bunch?
Well, there's a few, more than usual.
Maybe we did.
Robin Carlson says, I did not mean to stab that guy. Can I go home now? It was my first stabbing, so we good, dude. And you replied, said, since it's your first time, we'll give you a warning and a $200 fine. For those of you that didn't listen to the podcast last week, we talked about Leafy getting banned. One of the arguments that he made was, it was my first offense. Why am I getting banned? And my counter to that was, yeah, well, when people murder other people, they don't get a warning either. So, yeah, there are certain things you can absolutely get yeeted for without warning. Ozzy said something similar. He says, come on, this is the only time I've murdered someone, mutters under his breath, that I got caught. There was a comment on your last vid, by the way. Apparently YouTube deleted it. So if you ever get a comment deleted, chuck it to us on Discord or in Twitter. Any of
Just
that
put
sort
it
of
in
business.
the general discussion on Discord. That's the easiest place to put it, because
Yeah.
you'll definitely see it there and it won't get deleted.
No, we'll definitely catch it there. Eyehole Man, Jimmy Page started off as a session musician, went on to Led Zeppelin. I remember listening.
I think
to
he was
a
in the
song-
Yardbirds as well, wasn't he? At first.
This is
Can't
your
remember.
area of expertise, yeah. I remember listening
he
to a
was in
song my
Yardbirds.
grandmother liked and thinking the guitarist was familiar in style and tone. Turns out it was Jimmy Page. Also, Lady Gaga was a songwriter for bigger performers like Britney Spears, etc. And then you responded, says, I remember always liking the guitar through Joe Cocker's cover of With a Little Help from My Friends. Took me a while to look it up and find out it was Page playing. Blash says, bloody hell, that N-bit needs video footage. If you guys haven't heard the end of last week's podcast, that was that was a meme. You said there is video footage, which is, yeah, we always record in video. So if you guys ever want that released, let us know. And then Phil says, I thought Leafy got banned for directing his content towards H3H3. And it was said, nope, it was Pokey related. 13 videos he did on Pokimane, by the way, before he ended up getting banned.
In what time frame? Like,
In about 2.5 weeks, I think. 13
yeah, that's
videos.
nearly a video a day. Like, that's
Yeah,
a
and
little
they
bit
were-
excessive, mate.
And they were 20 to 25 minute videos, I think, for the most part. They were
You need more things to do with your time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to make a Leafy video. Like if you look at
You
it,
missed one of Crazy's comments as well.
what? Where?
He said, "Jackhammer with a fleshlight. That is definitely the industrial grade sex toy."
I did not see that comment, but I'm glad that I missed it in complete honesty. There you go. So, yeah, if you want to check out the end part of last week's podcast, that was a bit of a doozy. You can also hit us up live on Twitch, twitch.tv/T1TAN5150, twitch.tv/ViscerusTV, or on Twitter, TITAN_5150 or at Viscerus TV. Of course, there's also the NULLSCORE YouTube channel. You just YouTube NULLSCORE. We got 33 subs. We're big boys now. And we're also available on all good audio platforms, Google Play, Apple Podcasts. I've forgotten the last one, Spotify.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Spotify. Oh, you forgot Spotify, mate. The biggest one.
Yeah, so.
Joe Rogan's platform of fucking.
Oh, that is in its own mess. We're going to have to,
Yeah.
we might talk about that some week.
We'll
But
add that next week, maybe. It's still ongoing at the moment. So, because new shit's coming out, I didn't want to talk about it just yet.
yeah, no, there's still
Until
a fair
some
bit going.
decisions are made, because it's like they have some big decisions that they have to make, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I
Definitely.
don't really want to talk about any further than that at the end of this podcast. So
Yeah, there you go. Well, look, anything else you want to add before we hop on out?
Yeah, right after this ad.
Right after this ad break.
Right after this unskippable 1 minute ad.
Or 7 in a row, like that one unlucky bloke.
For the players. Yeah, 7 ads in a fucking row.
Yeah,
Why
well,
did they think? Yeah.
You'll find that on Twitter. Somebody got 7 ads, I think, on a Twitch video. It was like 2 out of 7. Some poor bugger. So if you want to check that out, you can join the Discord as well. Links in the description. Otherwise, we will catch you guys next week. And see you later.
See you guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Yeah, imagine getting 7 ads. That would suck.
That's fucked.
That's
fucked,
so
man.
horrible. What? Okay, hear me out. What if it's 7 of the same ad? Like,
Oh,
like,
imagine
he
having
gets
to hear the For the Players guy 7 times in a fucking row.
for the players. By the time the 7th comes out, he's just like, for the players. You're like, no!
I'm never going to look at another PlayStation because of this ad.
That's it. I'm gonna develop PTSD.
Sony can fucking lick my taint. I'm never fucking buying a PlayStation or Call of Duty.
7 times in a row. For the players. Imagine trying to
Every
skip
time.
through that, and you're like, the skip's not working.
It lets you skip 2 ads out of 7. It's the same fucking ad still.
Wouldn't it be great, like, if like in there, like one in there was like some different ad? It was like for Twitch Prime or something, and that's the ad he skips. He just gets more for the players.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
Fucking hell.
Rip that guy.
Fucking forced ads. What the fuck are you thinking?